Jesus. Hello.
The nurse is on the phone, and I'm putting you on phone with it.
Okay.
Oh?
Yep.
Yeah. Mike, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, and this is Nurse Erin.
Hi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Good morning.
Now, tell him what you were saying.
Okay, so I just popped in to help. They called a rapid response because his blood pressure had dropped down to 66/40. His temperature, he was hypothermic, 95.9. He just felt like he was getting nauseous. His oxygen saturations dropped a little as well, so we put him on a non-rebreather, bumped him up, and now his oxygen went up perfectly. It's at 97. Otherwise, we are now giving him fluid boluses. His blood pressure did come up to 101/50. So they're talking about potentially transferring. They just don't. They're trying to see how he. We're assessing as we go to see what the doctor wants. Dr. Anderson's right at the bedside.
Transferring.
That's what I said.
Stop talking. Ma'am, what is transferring? Yep. What is transferring? To where?
To a higher facility like Grand Forks.
So back to Grand Forks after obtaining this bacterial infection at the hospital. Okay.
Yes. Because it said he had positive blood cultures. It looks like they're treating him for sepsis. So they just want to get him at a higher level of care to have everyone in special services right there.
So yesterday they took a blood sample, and this blood sample was supposed to be getting sent to Grand Forks, and they were waiting on a courier. There was no explanation as to why, other than we noticed some antibodies, and that was very vague, and I kept asking for clarification on that. So do you have any clarification or results of this blood work?
Let me check. I don't have him today. I just popped in the room to help, and then I just wanted to contact family to let you guys know what was going on.
No, I appreciate it, but I'm over 2 hours overdue on getting a phone call from. It was supposed to be Vandewege that was supposed to call. And
yep, and it was in a stat C-section, so he has been busy and out of touch this morning.
Okay.
Hey, Erin, who is the head nurse?
Megan.
Megan. Okay, well, I talked to Mr. Okerson, and he was going to talk to Megan.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, it has been kind of, everyone's been everywhere this morning trying to get everyone. So we apologize for that. But, yeah, I can have Megan contact you when she's in the room right at the bedside with Diedrich right now.
Okay.
We just wanted to call you guys and let you know what the status change. And then if you guys wanted to come in and see him, that's kind of why I just called you. I don't know the details of everything.
Okay. Can we just hold the phone here for a second? Mom?
Yep.
Thank you for interrupting and misdirecting this conversation. Ma'am?
Okay.
Yep.
You were researching the results of the lab work for the blood.
Yeah.
Please continue.
It just says identification and suspectability to follow. 2 sets of positive out of 2 sets drawn for Staphylococcus aureus in his blood.
Staphylococcus aureus. Okay.
Yes.
Staph infection.
So that was resulted.
Is that the results back from Grand Forks, or is that the initial results from there?
That's the initial results that I see from here at Life Care.
At this point, can you identify if the blood has even been couriered to Grand Forks yet?
Nope, I can't see any of that.
So if you can't see it, then that means that the blood has still not been transported to Grand Forks as of yet.
I don't get to see that, but maybe Megan as a charge nurse can. Like I said, I haven't been in his chart.
Yes, ma'am.
This was just me calling you to let you guys know of a change in status.
I know. I understand. You're basically walking face first into a cobweb. I understand. I get it.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is yes, I understand. This is not your patient, and this is technically not your problem, but you have been delegated to be the one to call. So I apologize.
Yeah.
I apologize
Nope.
for that. But in the meantime, trying to get a hold of a doctor is like trying to catch a greased pig. Now, I live 2 hours away, and Vandewege could not take the time yesterday to give me a 5-minute phone call and was insisting that I do a 5-hour round trip in my vehicle to have a 5-minute conversation with the man. This is unacceptable. Now he is no longer there, and now we have Dr. Anderson, who is bedside for Dad. Can I speak with Dr. Anderson?
Let me check. Can I put you on hold 1 second?
Yes, ma'am. I would appreciate it.
Okay.
Do not interrupt. Do not misdirect. I need to keep them on track. Do you understand, Mom?
Yes, Mike. You also need to talk to Okerson.
No, I don't. He's a paper pusher.
I know, but he's supposed
Stop.
to be the head of the
Stop.
hospital. And she said Megan is in there right now, too.
You need to stop talking to me. You need to stop interrupting.
Yes, but Megan's
Be
in there.
quiet.
So talk to Megan.
This means be quiet.
Talk to Megan.
I do not
too.
need you talking when they pick up the phone. Be quiet.
Hello, Dr. Anderson here.
Yes, good morning, Dr. Anderson. My name is Mike Jacobs, and
Hello, Mike.
I'm currently on the phone also. My mom is on the phone, Didrik's wife. And,
Very good. Okay.
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 So, I apologize for the nature of the call. I understand that you guys have been very busy, so I'll try to be brief.
Sure.
As I'm aware, my father had blood drawn yesterday. There were some initial results or discrepancies found in the blood that no one would identify. Everyone was being vague and wouldn't say anything beyond antibodies. And the nurse who was delegated to contact us today, who went and got you, which I appreciate, thank you, did identify it as basically a staph infection. And she has been unable to verify if this blood was even couriered to Grand Forks yet or not. She says that there are no results, which my guess would be that means that the blood is probably still sitting in your guys' hospital. Is this correct, or am I mistaken?
I do not have the accurate answer to that question. What I'm looking at is the blood. Thanks. I've been given a chair. The blood that was drawn yesterday, I'm looking at what we have in the computer here.
Yes, sir.
There's a type and screen, which is the preliminary result. He's ABO positive. He's type O RH indeterminate with a history of possibly RH negative. The antibody screen was positive. Now this I wouldn't have much of unless it had been sent out. He has anti-B and anti-C antibodies. He had a positive direct antiglobulin test. So his blood is a mixed bag of odds and ends, and this we see when someone in a trauma situation, will often have to give blood, just not typed and screened or typed and crossed, but just give them, so to speak, quote-unquote wild-type blood because it saves their lives. Then, of course, their immune system is exposed to the odds antigens that are there,
yes.
And now we have to get a special mix of blood. And since I have these results, and the hospital in Grand Forks, or the blood bank in Grand Forks would have had them as well, because if I can look at them, they can look at them. That much, I think, is there. What we're waiting for is blood to be given to him, but right now I have a bigger concern because I kind of walked into this thing.
Right.
Right now he doesn't look well at all. His blood pressure's down, his pulse is up, he looks septic from somewhere in spite of antibiotics, so we're giving boluses of fluids and oxygen and kind of doing what we call a rapid response here.
Understood.
Yeah, I wish I knew whether or not he had developed an abscess or a bleed in his right lower abdomen, and I need a CT to do that. I wish I knew whether he had a frank pneumonia or just a kind of a hip shot pneumonia, for lack of a better word.
Okay. If these are things that you're wishing you knew.
Yeah, well, a CT scan would give me some information, but I understand that he had a reaction to contrast.
So would asking me.
Go ahead.
I have been following every aspect of Dad's case. I can give you names, I can give you dates, I can give you doctors' names, I can give you recordings of the conversations I've had with them. So some of the questions that you've been talking about, how you wish you knew, I could start to answer those for you.
Lovely.
But before we do this, yesterday, everything that was going on was a low hemoglobin count. Now, not critically low. He was at 7.1, from what I understand, which is alarming. But a low hemoglobin count, a drop in his blood pressure. One thing I pointed out was, obviously, he had multiple breaks. 4 of these were in his pelvis, and you know that when there's one break to a pelvis, that hemorrhages very badly. All right, so what ended up happening was on August 20th, he had a fixator that was actually on June 27th is when he had a few hours after arriving in Grand Forks from the airlift, he had a splenectomy. 7 hours after that, he underwent a surgery to take care of that broken pelvis initial. Put it together, stop the hemorrhaging, and they put a fixator in place.
Sure, Mike. I have to interrupt. I'm sorry.
Yes,
I do have basics of the background, those kind of details I can get. Is there anything I can help you guys with right now? Because I have to kind of put out a fire here. I hate to be that way, but I've got a guy who's got like an alarmingly low hemoglobin, and I'm struggling to get him blood. I've got new blood cultures pending. I'm looking at his electrolytes.
Okay.
And I'm trying to decide where I can send him to a higher level of care. Altru is where we would usually go, but...
I'm sorry, are you talking about my dad or a different patient at this time?
I'm talking about Didrik Boros.
Okay. Well, on August 20th, they removed his fixator. Now, from what I was told, by the head of trauma as well as the surgeon who had placed it, that fixator could remain in place indefinitely and would probably remain in place throughout his physical therapy. But on August 20th, they removed the fixator, and at the same time, that surgeon, a month early, because he was talking about September 20th, that the pelvis would be strong enough to begin the therapy that's been taking place up there. On August 20th, the last imaging that you have, the last x-ray, on August 20th, when they removed the fixator, they also approved the physical therapy. And my concern that I tried to voice with the hospital yesterday that they were unaware of, no one knew that a month early he was authorized for this intense physical therapy, all the pressure on his femurs. Everything that you guys were describing was pointing towards internal bleeding. And what I was
correct.
And what I brought up yesterday was, could it possibly be that the fixator was removed too soon, that pelvis could be ruptured and bleeding again? And I asked, could it be possible to get an x-ray done or any type of imaging done to see if the pelvis might be bleeding? I was told no.
Okay. I would like to go ahead and do those things,
yes, sir.
But the point may be moot because right now I have to make sure that he's stable enough to go through the imaging.
Right.
So I could waste time imaging him here. What I want to do is if I can get him stable and we're comfortable, then I can image him here, but I do not have the skill sets here to repair any internal bleeding.
Correct.
So what I really need to do is transfer him out.
Right, getting him back to Grand Forks. So you need to get him
stable. I don't want him to go to Grand Forks.
Mom? We're having a
Grand Forks is where we're legally bound to send them first. If they don't have room, then we'll work down towards Fargo.
She understands.
If they don't have room, then we'll work down towards St. Cloud or something. But we have to get them to a higher level of care.
Right, she understands her. So basically at this point what you're trying to do is stabilize and be able to get him out to a different facility. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. So, as you said, now the point that I was trying to make yesterday that was denied is moot.
Right. I need to get him to a place where an intervention could be done, a surgeon, basically, of some sort or another, if that can be required. So if I waste time imaging him, it's academic.
Right. At
this point, what I need to do is get him to a higher level of care.
Correct.
So I have your permission to move in that direction, correct?
Yes, sir.
I think Didrikson wants to go, so we'll full court press, get him out the door here. We'll start with Altru and go down the river from there.
No, I do understand, sir, and I do appreciate your concern and your care for everything that you've been doing.
You betcha.
Like I said, this over 24 hours ago, I brought all of this up, and I don't know if Dr. Vandewege is your peer or if he is your superior, but he absolutely negated everything that I brought up when it came to any possible imaging, and now we have no blood has been moved. The 2 units low that was requested yesterday that we did give consent for obviously cannot be done, and now he is even more septic than he was yesterday, and now we can't even worry about trying to take care of anything on site. So this is where we're having these concerns, but I appreciate the fact that you are working to stabilize him and get him on. How would we be contacted if you guys are able to move him?
Once we have a place, one of us will call you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I mean, seriously, I cannot say thank you enough. We'll be standing by if there's any changes at all. But
thank you, Mike.
As far as that contrast and allergy and everything like that, that was we're not born with a list that tells us what we're allergic to, and that discovery of it was very interesting.
Right.
But
That's true.
But the whole thing about it is it wasn't even in your charts. None of that information was in your charts. Now, you were asking about, did Dad have a pneumonia? No, he did not when he was at Altru. August 4th, initially he had a chest tube placement done, and that was to take care of fluid that was building up from the abscess.
Excuse me, Mike.
Yep.
Mike, I have to interrupt. I have to go. I'll look this stuff up, and you've been very, very helpful, and I appreciate your concern. And we'll work on getting this guy straightened out for you guys, okay?
Work on getting him moved? Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Here we go again.
Okay. If we didn't have all of the misdirection, the miscommunication, and the interruptions that we've had over the last few days, this wouldn't be an issue right now. But plain and simple, what that nurse had identified on the phone that you interrupted, and I had to get her to go back and identify, was that what the hospital had detected was that the hospital gave Dad a staph infection.
Yes.
Dad's complete illness right now is 100%.
He just got through.
You are cutting me off again.
He just got through telling you all that weird blood.
We're done. We're done. I'm not going to do this to where she's going to constantly be